Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. Few companies have impacted the way we work over the last few years like Zoom. The tech company has become synonymous with video calls and along with that has become an integral part of remote working and now a hybrid return to the office. Last year, Zoom made headlines when it ordered its own staff to return to offices at least 2 days a week if they lived within 50 miles of the workplace. It was perhaps the clearest sign that full remote working is not necessarily the way forward, that even a company that specialises in working remotely sees a strong future in more of a hybrid approach. Mathew Saxon is the Global Chief People Officer at Zoom. He's visiting Australia at the moment and is my guest this morning. Mathew, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Hey, Sean. Great to be here.
Now, I better clear that up because you are a Brisbane boy who is now in Austin with Zoom. That's right, isn't it?
I am. Grew up in Brisbane and now live in Austin, Texas.
Fantastic. Let's jump into it. So the experience of COVID and the Zoom boom, what was that like within the organisation?
It was amazing, actually. It really catapulted us from an organisation that a kind of few people knew to really synonymous with an entire way of communicating. And we kept businesses afloat. We kept students learning, and we kept really the wheels of industry turning. And we still see a lot of goodwill from our customers and from the community at large for all of the stuff that we did through that really tumultuous time that everyone was trying to figure out. I kind of talk about, we went from can we survive, like can we ship products, can we close the books each month, can we hire and onboard people, to I think now saying like how do we thrive and how do we move up the human needs sort of hierarchy, if you like.
Zoom has certainly become part of the lexicon now, and most of us do in the workplace do Zoom calls regularly. I mean, certainly I do. I mean, if not daily, certainly weekly I'm on Zoom. And it's you kind of, the thing is that you're probably one of two or three players that have really saturated the market. What about post-COVID? What was it like to go from this incredible rush as an organisation to kind of trying to work out how to take advantage of it now that people didn't need you as much?
Yeah, I think one of the things that is not always well understood about Zoom is we do a lot more than meetings. We have a whole suite of solutions when it comes to not just ways of working in the modern workplace, but products and solutions that are designed for the in-office experience. So we've got what we call Intelligent Director, which is software that you can use with in-office cameras, and it will basically put a frame of all the participants in a meeting. And so what that does is you don't get that sort of bowling alley type concept where you've got these long tables and you can't see all the participants. And so it really makes that hybrid experience for those who are both in the office and who are remote in that particular meeting. Kind of it levels that out a bit and it builds kind of human connection. And then we've got a workplace reservation tool. We've got a contact center solution. We've got a revenue accelerator for sales. And so there's a whole bunch of other sort of suite of solutions that we provide to our customers to meet sort of needs beyond just meetings, which is sort of what a lot of people who don't know us that well think of us.
Okay. So Zoom copped a bit of criticism over the past year or so, or last year at some point, from remote working. Well, the discussion about the fact that you suggested people come in 2 days a week into the office. What is there a best outcome? Why did Zoom do that? Number one, there must have been a reason you wanted people in the office. Is there a best hybrid outcome?
It's a good question. It goes back to, I think, my prior answer is Zoom has products and solutions that span the gamut of in-office solutions, hybrid solutions, and full remote. And we have a value of care, and it has 5 dimensions. And one of the dimensions of care that we have as a company is care for the customer. And we really want to deeply understand our customers' pain points, their use cases, the challenges that they have, not just today, but into the future. And we really believe that the more we can immerse ourselves in those same experiences and sort of walk the walk that our customers are doing, we have a better understanding about what their needs are and we can better meet their needs. And so that's why we actually have Zoomies. That's what we call ourselves. We have Zoomies who are full-time in office. We have some who are hybrid, and then we have some remote, like me. I'm actually a remote employee. There's no Zoom office in Austin. And so I'm a remote employee and dial in on Zoom, every day. So that's the idea, is like get really deep with a customer and really understand those. And what happened as an example is when we went back to a hybrid model. And what we say is like, if you're near an office, hey, we'd like you to come in a couple of days a week. We think that makes sense so that we can all understand those sort of in-office and hybrid experiences. And the first few days we did that when our engineering teams were in, they logged nearly 50 opportunities where they were like, hey, I think we can make this product better, or why don't we add a feature here or something? And it just goes to show the example of like really immersing yourself in those use cases that enables us to sort of be at the forefront of the workplace into the future.
Stay with me, Matthew. We'll be back in a minute. I'm speaking to Mathew Saxon, Global Chief People Officer at Zoom. I presume you're saying that there's no kind of one-size-fits-all for a hybrid model. Do you think in terms of productivity and efficiency, which most companies are chasing, a hybrid model is probably the answer?
You know, Sean, I don't think there is a right answer here. I think it really does depend. And we have different options and tools available to us working today than we did, 5 years ago. And I think 5+ years ago, if you had sort of said, like, what's the purpose of coming into the office? I think people would have probably looked at you a little strangely and said, what are you even asking about? I think now, though, it's a relevant question. And what we talk about is making sure the office earns its commute. And what we mean by that is really making sure that when employees do come into the office, they feel as though it's worthwhile, that there's a purpose for them to come into the office. And what we've found in our experience is it's not just to do your sort of individual work. There is a benefit to making sure you're going out for a team lunch, or spending time with a colleague, or doing some training together as a team. Those sorts of things that you can optimize your time while you're in the office, we really see as a value add. But it really depends on the organization, depends on what type of business you are, where your existing footprint of employees and talent resides, and how you want to run your organization. And you're right, there are various different flavors of hybrid where some companies come in certain days a week for certain functions, others let teams decide, others let individuals decide. And I think there's no right answer. It depends on what's right for each organization and each team. But being very thoughtful and deliberate about hybrid and saying, what are we really trying to achieve here? And then really signaling that to your organization and to your employees and explaining to them what you're trying to do, why, and getting their feedback and input along the way, I think is the real value unlock here.
Do you think, I love Zoom because it means I don't have to go to the office every day. And for me, that's an hour commute each way. It's 2 hours a day I get back. I've got kids, dinner, washing, all those important things. So to me, it's really, really important that I have that ability to do it. Do you think it's actually changed how people view work, how they view work-life balance, all that type of thing? I'm just parking COVID because that had its pluses, but there were plenty of minuses in that period too. So post-COVID, do you think people have just sort of re-evaluated their work-life balance?
I think they absolutely have. And I think a lot of people are thinking about what type of life do I want to lead and what works for me in a really sustainable way. And there are environmental considerations, there's time effectiveness, there's, I actually sort of think there are like multiple models here, but one is really, instead of like work-life balance, is like integrating work and life. And I think hybrid better enables people to do that. And modern workplace platforms really enable that sharing of knowledge and information, because it doesn't always have to be synchronous. It's also like, how do you collaborate in an asynchronous way, which helps for time zone issues. And I'm talking like broad geographical, dispersion of teams across multiple time zones, multiple countries, etc. And so really thinking about how to optimize all of that, I think makes a lot of sense. And it's enabled people like you and me to do things that maybe we would have had to make other sacrifices from a personal life standpoint. For example, my son had a play that his school was putting on that he was in, and I think it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If I had been in the office, chances are I probably wouldn't have been able to make that at all. But now that I have this ability to work in this hybrid way, it meant I was able to go there, spend 45 minutes. Saw that, got to spend time with him, and then came back and continued the rest of my day. And it's things like that I think make the unlock for people and for organizations. And I think it can be a win-win-win all round if you've done it well and thoughtfully.
Final question here, Mathew, is that you've worked, I know I've been told you've worked at AGL at some point here. You've also worked at Meta. Obviously, you're at Zoom now. How do workplaces compare around the world? Where is Australia at when we talk about embracing new trends and technologies, be it Zoom or beyond? Are workplaces the same as the first part? Second part, how does Australia rank?
I think workplaces are unique in some ways, Sean, but I think at the end of the day, there are a lot of commonalities. I think Australia is really, really well positioned. I think there is a great amount of talent in the market here that we see. I think there is also an ability and a willingness to try new things. And we see that through, surveys looking at organizations that really want to lean in to AI and things like that. And we see Australia has a higher propensity to do that than other parts of the world. And what we see then is those that do lean into new technologies like that actually are seeing a benefit. And so I think that positions Australia really, really well. It's a great market. It has great talent depth. And I think it is really well positioned because of that willingness to experiment and willingness to sort of give things a go and then make it better. And it's not necessarily where you start on these things, but it's about how do you sort of optimize them for the future. And so that's why I think I am and we are at Zoom very bullish on the Australian market going forward.
Mathew, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thanks, Sean. Really appreciate it.
That was Mathew Saxon, Global Chief People Officer at Zoom. This is the Fear and Greed Business Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.